Hey guys, I'm here to get into Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. Released in the year 2014 and directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu. And I've never seen this in theaters upon the theatrical release of this. I was honestly very brain twisted by it. I loved it, but it was like, wow. I think it took me, like, honestly, a long time. I think it took me last year, my last viewing. I had to sit down and grasp, wow, this is one of the most loudly melancholic, best melancholic depictions ever made of a man kind of at a, like, literally kind of in depths of the theater, but he's like kind of facing an ultimate crisis in his life, as he's adapting a Raymond Carpenter story. So he kind of ends up reconveying this sort of dark comedy sort of tale on a midlife crisis kind of going on in a theater person's heart, with plenty of youthful enthusiasm and how eager Iñárritu is to express this story. And I love the enthusiasm. Experimentation is like on a whole new level with this project. I mean, I think works in the 2000s were very like much like they reminded me a lot of P.T. Anderson, like kind of like close up, sort of like melancholic, sort of like bittersweet, sort of melancholic sort of perspective. And then this is just a little, I would say like a full on, like kind of like a dark comedy drama, you could say, but very experimental. I mean, it's like it pans out almost like an entire take. It feels like technically like one of the best films I've ever seen, actually, in a sense. I think nowadays I would actually regard this as one of the most amazing projects I've ever seen in a technical sense, for more than anything. This is an extremely technical project. Michael Keaton is just wonderful in this as a lead character here, as he's just kind of trying to navigate his ultimate sense of stress, and you're kind of following around a stressful guy in his day at Logan, because he's really feeling like a has-been, like he's feeling like, yeah, downbeat as it gets, basically. And Edward Norton's around just being the loudest asshole possible. Mess up for Jack Galifianakis is just the best, and I heard this is one of my favorite. Actually, it probably is my favorite Edward Norton performance, because I heard that this was just like, I think like everyone was just like a lot of smiles behind the camera kind of deal, but it was like on screen it was just like the most intense drama possible. And Jack Galifianakis also is just his best performance. I mean, I'm a huge fan of him when we watch him with Stone. And this is a film that ultimately portrays that just the most stressful end of, you could say, like the theater scene, like stress. It's all stress, and it can boil down to the characters who are just having a lot of hostility and overwhelming sense of competitive streak. And this is just where characters just kind of build these like awkward sort of mentalities along the way, but then you just kind of follow this character. I mean, particularly Keaton, and he's just kind of haunted by this sort of superhero complex, you could say. And he's just, all these ideas are kind of hitting. I mean, he's just always unsure of how to hold himself throughout the story, right? In its own way. Like, he gets confident when he's alone, but it's like when he's like around others, like, yeah, like you can tell, like he's not like he's just not able to really connect with anything but the frustrated side of his life and perspective. So it just kind of is this ultimate tale of that ignorance is bliss. And it's something. I mean, the screenplay is just one of the best of all time. I really decided to take this one in again. It's very insane, kind of like just New York City sort of depiction. Again, sort of just looking at a big feeling of just like positive emotions, you know, kind of going down the drain in a sort of like strange kind of way, you could say. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just, the atmosphere is just perfect. The soundtrack is just, I mean, it's just really one of the best I've ever. You know, it sounds like screenplay is the best I've ever heard. I mean, I don't remember the soundtrack that well, honestly. I think it was mostly just drumming and orchestration. I love that. I think that's just different than anything else. I think it's just like, this is the filming side is so dominating on this kind of project. This is just in 2014, one of the most interesting years of film I've ever like witnessed. The range of diversity with the projects, like this makes me think of like also the film Whiplash, which is intense on the drumming. But this film just feels very huge in a lot of ways. It feels like this character's gaining telekinetic sort of sense of perspective, and Iñárritu just really conveys it. It's something very insane with this project, particularly. You know, it's like he really built on the superpower with this film in a way. It's really a masterpiece of just characters sort of finding themselves in a warning part of their lives in a lot of ways. And it's just perfect from start to finish. I mean, yeah, Billy Wilder just perfectly conveys. It reminds you a lot of Billy Wilder, you could say. A lot of this comedy kind of perspective is just it's really dark. It's really having a great time, and it's kind of raunchy, sort of. It's like there's something very raunchy underneath all of this, and it just sort of like gradually seeps through as it progresses. Yeah, this is just perfect from start to finish. Yeah, I just got strongly recommended for. I think it also reminds you a lot of like a little bit of like Wolfgang Petersen's kind of directing as well, you could say. It's just very human all throughout. Extremely human, just kind of exploring just tormented moments and just different types of characters in the theater sense. As characters make mistakes, and they just kind of go a little mad in their own ways. But it's like to the point where it's just like, yeah, there's like friction is everywhere. It just feels too intense. and just like something needs to light up in the air, sort of like the ultimate summation of it. So maybe that's why it's like long-term when we're watching. That's actually a very personal foundation in a lot of ways. Because you want to feel like you've got it as if you're going for like anything in the theater sense of film sense. You want to hold yourself a certain way once you're around others who are looking up to you in any sort of figure and sort of way. So this is a great film of just maybe breaking to the darkest side of all that. Cinematography is just, again, perfect. It seems very Federico Fellini influenced in a lot of ways too, with its jazz atmosphere. This one is just a perfect start to finish.